Tonight's Xfinity TV Football Game of the Week postgame show is brought to you by the Pittsburgh Sports Report, Pittsburgh's premier sports publication. Visit them on the web at pittsburghsportsreport.com. Well, what a comeback here tonight by the Wash High Little Prexies. They were down 6-0 at halftime. Chartiers Houston was dominating this game, particularly on the line of scrimmage, particularly with its defense. But Ellis, the Prexie, come back and they win this ball game. We'll continue to talk about that, but right now let's go to the sidelines with Meg Bulger. Meg.
All right, thanks, Chris. Coach, it seemed like a tale of two halves. The second half you guys were extremely dominant. You talked about execution. Was that the biggest difference in the second half?
Well, we came out and we played the second half. First half we were a little bit lackadaisical, but second half we came out and played, and I'm really proud of the effort of our kids.
Is there anything in particular that you saw at halftime or that was said at halftime? Because kids came out with a totally different energy level.
No, we didn't want to be too negative. You want the kids to. Just to know that if they play better, we could win the game, and we played much better.
Defensively, pretty happy with the way your team played.
Yeah, we had a couple breakdowns, but overall, I thought we played pretty well defensively.
All right, Coach. Thanks so much. Good luck next week.
Thanks.
Chris.
All right, Meg. Thank you very much, and Coach Bosnick. Not a lot of smiles from this guy, particularly in the first half. Second half, you would think he'd be a little happier with that win, but this is not the way he wanted his team to play football tonight, despite the fact that they do pick up the win. They do go into first place in the standings.
Yeah, the penalties got in the way, and that's a big irritant for him. He wants to clean a lot of that type of stuff up. The fumbles, another area he wants to clean up, but he was able to get his defense running to the ball. He was able to get his running game running the ball on the offensive side, and that's really what he was wanting to do. Play physical, use that speed. Two of the big keys he pointed out to me he was able to do. On the flip side, Chartiers Houston, they wanted to limit the number of big plays of Washington. They did that in the first half, not so much in the second half. They needed a few plays on offense. Again, they got that in the first half. Chartiers Houston did not in the second half.
Let's go back down to the field with Meg Bulger. Meg.
Isaiah, two different games it felt like from the first to the second half. What was the mindset in the locker room at halftime?
We just got to come out and play harder. We know we can play.
You had an extremely solid performance on the offensive side as well as the defensive side. Is this the type of game that you expected to come into?
Yeah. In the first half, we kind of had some mistakes, but we came out and did what we had to do.
7-0 at top of Century Conference. How's that feel?
Feels great. Feels great,
right?
Yes.
I'm sure. You can smile for your coach then. All right, good luck next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Chris.
All right, Meg, thank you. Isaiah Robinson, our player of the game here on Xfinity tonight. Just a marvelous effort by Robinson. We're seeing some of his highlights tonight, and he did it on all three sides of the ball: offense, defense, special teams.
Yeah, that's his thing. I mean, we talked about that early to keep an eye on. He's made plays. He's broken plays for touchdowns in the special teams. Not so much tonight, but he was a presence, as you point out, Chris. And I really thought in the first half he was in the target of what they were trying to do offensively on the Chartiers Houston sideline. And he had a great battle with Myers all night long. As the night proceeded, it appeared as if Robinson was finding himself a little bit more so, and in the offensive game, and definitely in the defense. Might have been one of those games where the defense led the offense. We often talk about that in sports, particularly other sports, where defense gets you propelled offensively. I think that might have happened to him. He got very involved defensively, and he evolved into a better offensive player as the game wore on.
All right, speaking of which, let's go to our best of the batch play of the game right now and take a look at this. And, you talk about defense turning things into offense, and there's a big interception right there, and that was Jackson Interval who turned this football game around. There were a number of different guys we could have picked for player of the game. Jackson Interval had a tremendous night tonight.
Chris, all kidding aside, when you said key player of the game, play of the game, what have you, that popped into my mind without knowing what the answer was going to be until we turned around. I think that set the tone for the entire second half. Keep in mind that at the end of the first half, Chartiers Houston had two possessions in the red zone that they got no points out of. They go in the halftime at 6-0 when it could have been much, much more in their favor, taking advantage of play that even Mike had noted, Mike Bosnick, just was not any good for Washington. And instead, Here comes Chartiers Houston. The Bucks get the ball to open the half. Okay, maybe we can make some amends. First play, pick off. That led to the touchdown, and all of a sudden it was a different game.
It was a different game. It was Washington's game. They finish out with the victory here tonight on the road, if you can call it the road. Some of these guys could have walked here tonight. We're only talking about 5.9 miles away from the front door of Wash
Look at
High.
you now. You're like Mr. Tripmaster.
Well, I saw that in the Post-Gazette this
I
morning.
got to tell you, man, you are just so international. You're the Renaissance man.
Whatever. I'm at a loss for words for once in my evening here tonight. I'll tell you what, we want to thank you for watching our Friday night game of the week here on Xfinity. For Meg Bulger on the sidelines, our crew out in the truck from Viewpoint Production Services, and for Mr. Cannon himself. Ellis Cannon, I'm Chris Shublin. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. How about it? Tale of two halves. Chartiers Houston dominates the first half. Wash High comes back in the second half, scores 28 unanswered, and wins the game. Final score tonight: Wash High Little Prexies 28, the Chartiers Houston Buccaneers 6 on the Xfinity TV High School Football Game of the Week.